Danny Steyn,
a 68-year-old grandfather,
just Chuck Mactutus,
and a 20-something living in Dad's garage just beat a field of elite racers.
Your winner in Spec Miata is Chuck Mactutus.
These two have nothing in common, but once they get in the car and get out there, they move as one unit.
Danny keeps Chuck thinking, and Chuck keeps Danny pushing.
Danny Steyn is a successful businessman, a grandfather, and one of the most competitive drivers in grassroots racing.
Talked about Danny Steyn, he is the pole sitter, 3-time and defending STL champion.
Danny Steyn is a legend. He's one of those guys where when he gets on the podium, I don't think anybody is upset about how the race ended.
Danny is probably the most experienced driver in SCCA.
Danny Steyn is going to be your winner.
I mean, he's the godfather of Spec Miata. He taught me how to race in the front with Miatas, and he's done it for a lot of people.
I love Spec Miata. So many of my friends are at the track, and I love racing. But racing in Spec Miata, you don't get anywhere unless you got a good teammate. And teammates are hard to find.
The first two teammates on the track are Danny Steyn and Chuck Mactutus at the front from OPM out of Atlanta. Danny Steyn, Chuck Mactutus going side by side.
And I've been so fortunate. A young kid called Chuck Mactutus decided to reach out to me and form this partnership.
Charles Mactutus in the number 66, the black with yellow accents.
That's my dream. It was my dream when I was 21 to go racing. And yeah, Spec Miata is the best racing in the country, in my opinion. It's as close as you can get. It's as competitive as any racing in the world. It's my favorite class. I couldn't imagine racing anything else.
And there he goes side by side. Mactutus going for the lead here.
So what makes Chuck so fast? Chuck knows lines. He understands lines. He's got this very fast hand control. It's so fluid and so natural, and he maintains so much mid-corner speed and yet still gets to throttle early.
Chuck Mactutus is putting on a pretty impressive drive, in my opinion.
There are times when I just watch Chuck go through a corner and I go, that's money. Now for me, I've got to study that, but for Chuck, it just comes naturally.
So I found out about Danny Steyn through YouTube and his videos, and that's how who is this character? You know, this old guy keeping up with all these young guys.
We both knew that on our own we didn't have a chance of beating the teams. Even before we became partners on the track, we recognized that we drove with a very similar style. Both of us like a car that's a little bit loose. We both like a car that's got oversteer. We both brake very similarly. So it was very quick for us to learn how to run together.
Teammates at the front, Danny Steyn, Chuck Mactutus going side by side. This is coordinated.
Danny has experience, decades of it. He knows how to win races and how to control them.
Danny has a notebook on his competitors and their behaviors, and he even takes notes on the parents of the teenagers that he races against, because he knows that the kids are listening to the parents on the radio. It's total contrast between the scientist and the absolute just field driver.
We have to watch this again. So, at which point did you realize that you totally screwed up?
Once he started leaving the curbing, I'm like, oh shoot, he's coming down.
Danny's a unique character. He's a big kid playing in the Spec Miata kid's house, but he's like a mentor in many ways. Without Danny, I would not have really known about Spec Miata. I wouldn't have committed this way. I wouldn't have known that this exists in some ways.
It also took me a minute to get my tires up to 10, so that was another thing. When he was behind me that first lap, I was just sliding through the corner. That's why I missed it, and he got the run, and I just was not checking my mirrors for him to be passing there.
It's a very interesting experience watching him, how he interacts with the students. He can be aggressive on the track, but I think in the trailer, there's a different side of him that comes out. And you shouldn't forget that these people he's teaching are his rivals, who he's racing against. You know, it was crazy.
There is a saying, it's mandatory to grow old, but it's never mandatory to grow up. And I think that that's something that Danny lives by.
So put it in gear, make sure it's stopped.
He calls himself a grandpa. He also calls himself an old fart, but he's not. He's just as young as, the 13-year-olds out there racing with us, and he wants us all to really do well.
Is there a lot of rain tonight?
I don't think so. I think it's like early evening right now.
Because if it's a green track, it's going to be a little bit slow then,
Yeah.
There's a lot of older guys in Spec Miata that would like the kids to go away. I love it. Because every now and then I get to stand on a podium and I remind them they got their ass handed to them by a grandpa.
Oh, even the blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then. The points.
Danny and I, we share the love of Spec Miata and driving. And we don't share much else. Yeah. I live in a barn. I do. I live above my cars, and me and my dad, we put it together, and so I kind of embody that more country atmosphere.
I love racing with him. But in the trailer, oh man, he's such a slob.
Danny's always on me about leaving things here or there, and I'm just focused on my driving, and so he can be a bit. It's not like a nagging thing that he does. It's more of a.
This is Chuck. Every time, half a sandwich, somebody just left behind.
Can I say he's always on my ass? Yeah.
I need my neat space. This is how I function, and he's exactly the opposite. And sometimes I think he's just winding me up.
It's funny, these two do not look like teammates when you see them in the paddock, but once they get in the car and get out there, they move as one unit.
Slap, but it is the teammates, what nobody wanted to see except those two, Danny Steyn, Chuck Mactutus, in lockstep. Bump drafting isn't even ideal. They want to be pushing all the time.
The wonderful thing running with Chuck is I don't second guess him for a second. If he turns in, I turn in.
It's so hard to describe. It's just that untold thing that we're gonna push the limits. We're gonna go for it.
When you see them get separated on track, you feel this sort of sense of loss. And sure enough, usually through the race, they will find each other.
Straight Danny Steyn, your leader, and he moves over to driver's right to have Chuck Mactutus, who is running in third position, come and join him.
Danny keeps Chuck thinking, and Chuck keeps Danny pushing.
Behind.
Here's your drag race, Steyn and Mactutus. Who's got the horses?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It is the 2026 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, the final day of competition. And here is the big story in Spec Miata. It is the return to Super Tour racing of Danny Steyn.
My first race back with Danny, so I'm really excited to see how he does, and I can't wait.
Yeah, this is the first time that since I've been here this weekend that the nerves have kicked in, because now you've really got to put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Qualifier is the lie detector. Now you find out if you're actually fast or not. So today was my first weekend back, and my qualifying session did not go well. I got buried in 20th place. I've been out for a year. Chuck hasn't. And he might not even be sure whether I've got any speed left at all or not. So I really have to prove myself that I'm worthy of being his teammate again.
He's starting kind of in the mid-pack, so when he's back that far, he hates it. It makes him mad, so he actually drives better.
I thought there was a very remote chance in the second qualifying session that I might get slightly faster, but you know what Chuck did? He came out and he gave me a lap, and we get to run with one set of tires for the weekend. He needs those tires to challenge for the win, but he came and used them to help me in my second qualifying session. And there's things that you see friends do, and they've got your back, and Chuck's got mine.
This is a 52 car field that's coming underneath the Fox Factory Bridge. They look very nicely formed up, and green flag is in the air.
Chuck has been my drafting partner for many years, but we both know at a certain point, we're all in it for ourselves.
As Danny Steyn pulls right ahead of his teammate.
That's probably the hardest part about racing Danny, is that you really gotta surprise him. But, you know, he's seen everything.
No way! Chuck Mactutus gets through.
We're best of friends for 40 minutes on the racetrack. And then on that last lap, we're mortal enemies. And we have to be.
Trying to track down our leader, Chuck Mactutus, with only 3 turns remaining.
I mean, Danny and I, we used to be rivals and we worked together. And then, you know, the last lap, if you're stronger, you gotta go for it. You gotta go for it.
It's a huge run out. Mactutus slides. Here
Big
we go.
slide for Mactutus. He's going to try to still cover and protect the inside line as they come down the hill through turn 12 for the very last time. And as they come to the line, your winner in Spec Miata is Chuck Mactutus in the Salty Dog Racing Mazda Miata.
Doesn't matter who wins at the end. We still got our arms around each other and congrats. I much prefer it when I win. But if he wins, I'm still high-fiving him. But yeah, I still want to win.
Miata finished under a full course caution. This race, is that Chuck Mactutus?
It is.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. There is Chuck Mactutus.
What are you doing?
In many ways, it was a perfect storm of characters that ended up working well together. So I think when I'm old, you know, old like Danny, looking back, I think that I'll keep myself open to unique characters that I could work with and mentor and have the same magic with, you know.